Now, I don't know about you, but I have died a lot in Minecraft, and in a lot of different ways. But what is the best way to die in Minecraft? I found a list of the most common ways to die on the Minecraft wiki and decided to go through all of them to find the best ways of dying in Minecraft. For this, I'm going to be ranking the deaths from 1 to 10, and honestly, most of them are just my opinion, so feel free to try this out yourself and make your own ranking. Killed by intentional game design, trying to use a bed in the nether or the end. Honestly, the fact that this exists in the first place is enough to get it a 10 out of 10, but it's hilarious that you can just use a bed in the nether or the end and it just explodes. And the fact that this death is labeled as intentional game design makes it even more hilarious. So yeah, starting off strong with a 10 out of 10. Killed via potion effect, such as instant damage potion. I guess this one is cool because of magic, but unless you find an instant damage potion in a chest or something, it takes a really long time to make, and usually you keep them to use on someone else, but in terms of dying yourself, it's kind of meh, so 4 out of 10. Kinetic energy, flying into blocks using an elytra. So here's the part where I admit I've never actually gotten an elytra without creative mode before, so learning to use it in the first place took longer than I care to admit, but once I got the hang of it, flying around is actually pretty fun, so unless you don't know how to work an elytra, you kinda need to be trying to die for this, but it's fun to zoom into things, so 6 out of 10. Killing oneself by using an arrow or a trident. This one is pretty similar to the last one, as I used a trident, which I haven't even gotten before, so first I had to practice a bit and then use it to deal damage to myself. I feel pretty cool using the trident, but I didn't die instantly, although this was easier to use than an elytra, so 7 out of 10. Bee sting, attacking a bee / destroying a beehive. Initially, I was going to score this higher purely because dying to a bee sounded hilarious and I love the way the bees look in Minecraft, but it took so long to actually die from a bee sting that it really brought the score down. But I guess if you got stung by accident, you would be able to survive it, so 4 out of 10. Attacking an iron golem. So I actually did this the very first time I tried to play Minecraft, and I didn't really know how much damage an iron golem did, so I died really quickly. Although I will say, it is funny that you just get to bounce up a little bit whenever one hits you. It is kind of a simple way to die, and they kind of are slow, so you can run away pretty easily, but I like the way their faces look. So 5 out of 10. Attacking a llama. This one is pretty much the same thing as the bee sting. It took so long to die from a llama that I had to use creative mode to spawn in just way too many of them. But again, the idea of dying from a llama is still pretty funny, so 4 out of 10. Attacking a wolf. So this one kind of hurt because normally you tame a wolf as a pet, and I do this pretty much every time I go to play Minecraft, so attacking it just felt really wrong. But the wolf's eyes turning blood red when it gets aggravated is pretty terrifying. Plus, the growl just takes over any other sound in the game, so it's not exactly the way I'd want to die, but I'm not gonna make fun of somebody if they did. 7 out of 10. Killed by a hostile mob. So this one is tricky because there's a lot of hostile mobs you can die to, and depending on which one you die to changes the way it's rated for me. For the recording, I died to a husk, which was pretty basic, but things like ravagers can cause some real chaos, so I'm gonna give this a range of 2 to 7 out of 10 depending on which hostile mob it is that kills you. Feel free to rank all of them yourselves. Fall damage. This one is also pretty basic in comparison to the rest, so I was gonna give it a 1 out of 10, especially since it's kind of one of the easiest ways to avoid dying, but I bumped it to a 2 purely because sometimes the view while you are falling is nice, depending on where you are, so 2 out of 10, there you go. Fire damage. This one is also pretty easy to avoid unless you're mining in the nether, but it takes a minute to kill you, so you can save yourself if need be, but walking around while being on fire is still kind of funny to watch, so same as the fall damage, I'd give it a 2 out of 10. Suffocation in solid blocks. Okay, for the record, I just want to say that when I play Minecraft, normally this is one of the most common ways I die, simply because I go mining in deserts a lot and the sand always just falls on me, but that's besides the point. For some reason, it took me so long to be able to die by this on purpose for this recording. I actually had to pause and take a minute because it was taking so long to die that I got frustrated. So this is most definitely a biased rating, but I don't care. 1 out of 10, this took an hour to die from, and I never ever want to do it again. Although saying that, the next time I play Minecraft, I probably will. So 1 out of 10, I hate this. Killed by another player. For this one, I actually had to go on Hypixel and try my hand at some Bed Wars, which I am not very good at, but it was a nice change after recording everything else on my own. It takes a bit to kill another player because of combat, but it is fun to duke it out, and playing Bed Wars was always fun, so 8 out of 10, would do it again. Using the /kill command. Okay, let's be real, this one is pretty basic. It's instant death, and it's only ever really been funny to use to troll on other people on a server, so I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet, simple but effective, 3 out of 10. Falling out of the world or void damage. This one is also simple but effective, but I like it better than the /kill command because, what can I say, you jump into the dark abyss. I can't really explain why I find that more entertaining, so you just have to trust me on this one. I just like it, I don't know. Plus, you can really only do it in the end, so 5 out of 10. Dragon Breath, killed by the Ender Dragon. Okay, so this is like the instant damage potion, but I like it more because it's something that only comes from the Ender Dragon, which is the final boss. Like, there's not a way to die from it in the overworld per se. It feels like even though you could avoid it, it's still an honorable way to go, so I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Drowning, running out of oxygen while underwater. This one is tricky because on one hand, I can totally see someone accidentally drowning in order to mine or look in a chest underwater. Plus, if you're in like an underwater coral reef, it's a really pretty view, but I do think this is still one of the more basic ways to die, and it is kind of sort of avoidable, so 4 out of 10? Killed by firework rockets. So this one I have mixed feelings about because I was on a single player server and I had to build a rocket launcher, and I am not good at building or using redstone in any capacity, so it took me almost an hour to figure out the best way to make one. But once I got it working, actually being blown up by fireworks is pretty entertaining. Plus the death message reads that you went off with a bang, which is just beauteous. 7 out of 10. Having too many entities in the same space. This one also took a minute of research because I hadn't really ever heard of this before. I realized later I had seen it before, but I just didn't realize it was called that, so the fact that this is also something that exists was just amazing. Plus, I crammed like 1,000 cows into one space, and that noise plus being pushed around was just the funniest 5 minutes of this entire recording. 8 out of 10, I loved it. Crushed by a falling anvil. This one should be scored higher in theory, just because it's been used in so many cartoons in history, so you get the familiar factor with the comedy and stuff, but this thing was just so annoying. First off, you have to have an anvil fall on you a few times in order to die from like a small height, but this one out of everything feels like it should be an instant death from just any height. And because an anvil needs to sit on top of something in order to fall onto you, you have to place a block and then get the anvil on top of it in order to set yourself up underneath it to break the block for it to fall on you in time for you to get damage. But it has to be outside of the jumping distance in order to cause any damage, so you can't place it and you have to be on top of a building, and honestly, I had just finished filming the suffocation death, so I was already pretty frustrated, but even so, 2 out of 10, I hated this. Blown up by TNT. I mean, this one is kind of basic, but I like that you fly up in the air, plus using TNT for arsoning buildings is pretty fun, so 5 out of 10. Blown up by an end crystal. This is basically the same as TNT, except it's only in the end unless you craft it, but that's a lot of work, and also it looks cooler than the TNT, so I'll give it the same score and you can decide which one is better. 5 out of 10. Killed by the wither status effect. So This one is usually the reason I die in the nether, because not being able to see your health bar while also taking damage is just the epitome of taking a gamble, and it is really annoying, but in terms of creating the game, it's a really cool effect that they added, and you know what? I respect it. 6 out of 10. Killed by Cactus Thorns. I'll be honest, I was kind of excited to film this one just because of the fact that it was listed under common deaths, and for some reason that was just really funny to me. I mean, you hear a sound effect and you even move slightly, so there's a good chance you're not going to die from it because it'll just push you out of the way, but the thought of someone just walking up to a cactus and being like, "I'ma poke this," and then just immediately dying is hilarious, so 7 out of 10, you can fight me on this one. Starvation, in parentheses, depending on the difficulty setting. Okay, so this was so annoying because I had switched to easy mode to record so I just wouldn't get bombarded with mobs while trying to die in other ways, but I didn't realize I had been in easy mode until I had been stuck on half a heart for 10 minutes, and that was when I figured out that easy mode doesn't let you die from starvation, which is stupid. So combine that with the fact that it takes so long to lose enough hunger anyway, you really just have to be trying to die in order to starve to death. Ugh. 1 out of 10, I don't like it. Ender pearls. Using an ender pearl while at low health. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like this one, because it seems like the game designers were trying to think of what would be a good idea for teleportation, and said, ah yes, you can teleport, but you gotta trade off some health in order to do so. And I don't know why I like that, but I just think it was an interesting quirk to add. And it's a quick way to go, plus, you know, fun superpowers, a 5 out of 10. Walking into a sweet berry bush. Initially, I had the same thoughts on this as the cactus death, but you have to walk through the berry bush as opposed to just into it in order to keep taking damage, whereas with a cactus, you can just kind of sit next to it and die easily, and I prefer that one because, you know, lazy, so 4 out of 10. And finally, being struck by lightning. Oh, finally, this was the one I was the most excited for. I mean, how cool is it to be like, oh, how did you die? Oh, I got struck by lightning. Like, it is so rare to happen unless it's summoned by another player, and to me, it just looks super cool. I will say, once again, I really thought this was going to be an instant death sort of thing, and it probably is in some cases with lower health, but the fact that this isn't just an instant death from full health made me have to knock it down a little bit, so 9 out of 10, but I still love it, and honestly, I hope I get lucky enough to have it happen naturally to me one day. Well, there you have it. Those are my ratings for each of the most common deaths according to the Minecraft wiki. Do you agree with my choices? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, please make sure to subscribe for more, and you can always unsubscribe if you change your mind, but make sure to like this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!